Since the beginning of the season, Byron's number sits on the shoulder of every player. Before every game, a prayer in his memory.
Let Byron know that it's going to be all right and that we're going to take it home for him.
Down to the wire in the last minute, a touchdown. Hard work and devotion to Byron Phillips wins the game.
I did it for Byron. I know Byron's looking down on us the whole time.
We're going to keep going, Byron. We're going to keep looking for you every day. And we're going to keep doing beautiful things as a 12-year-old kid.
Byron, this is for you, baby!
In Minneapolis, Amelia Santinello, 4 News.
Byron's murder is still unsolved, and investigators say they have little to go on yet.
A man and his female accomplice are behind bars, suspected of killing David Rustay. Rustay was found bound and gagged in his Columbia Heights apartment back in October. The killers tried to hide the evidence by turning the gas up in that house to explosive levels. Charges are expected on Tuesday.
3 teens lead police in a high-speed chase across 3 cities for more than a half an hour. The pursuit took place in parts of Burnsville, Eagan, and Lakeville.
A lot worse, and we're just thankful that everybody's healthy.
That's right, it could have been a lot worse. The diesel tank was crushed, and of course that could have caught on fire. Nobody was in the toll booth, somebody could have been there, and nobody was hurt on the ground. But again, 5 people still are in the hospital, and we're told they'll be coming home later this week. The rest of the folks, as I mentioned already, are on their way home as we speak. Should be arriving at about 3 o'clock tonight, this morning rather. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Deb, some scary moments. Thanks very much. And we will continue to follow this story and have a live update tomorrow on WCCO This Morning, which begins at 5:30 a.m. To other news, ukulele crooner Tiny Tim is hospitalized tonight after suffering a heart attack. He collapsed just before a concert in Massachusetts. He's in serious but stable condition. You may know that Tiny Tim lives in Minneapolis with his hometown wife, Susan Gardner.
Well, the end came today for both the Twins and the Vikings. For the Vikes, it was the end of their 4-game winning streak. And Mark Rosen just returned from New York City, if I can get your name out, Mark.
Yeah, I think the Vikings wish they'd stayed there or something until they got it right. The Vikings actually kept one streak alive, falling behind in the second half again, but they failed to come from behind for the first time this year in New Jersey, losing to the Giants 15-10. Now, the Giants just ran the ball down the Vikings' throats in the second half, then used finesse here to score the go-ahead touchdown. New York held the ball for 15 minutes more than Minnesota. But the Vikings still had a chance until unknown defensive back Felipe Sparks cut inside Chris Carter for a game-saving interception. Warren Moon only threw for 143 yards, and the offense was held without a touchdown in today's loss, shocking to all in purple.
And I thought just by looking at our practices this week, we were very focused in practice. We had probably our best practices of the year this week. And usually your practice is a reflection of how you're going to play on Sunday. But you got to give the Giants a lot of credit. They came out and played physical.
Yeah, one thing to lose to the Giants, quite another just to get a field goal generated by your offense. Not a good performance at all to have their winning streak come to an end. We'll have more in sports and, of course, the complete wrap-up on Rosen Sports Sunday coming up immediately following the news.
All right. Thanks a lot,
All right, Mark, thanks very much. Well, the Twins finished their season today at the Dome, and the question is, will the Twins soon be finished with the Dome? They're pushing for a new stadium, and after next year, they're free to leave. But what do the fans think? Today, we went to the game to ask some of them.
I imagine how nice it would be with just this stadium opened up at the top here, you know.
Is that a dream, or could an outdoor stadium become reality for Twins fans? We're going to know the answer by the end of next season, because that's when the Twins can exercise an escape clause in their lease and get out of the Dome.
I like what we got. I don't see any reason for anything else. That's my opinion.
The reaction from fans is mixed, but many think baseball should be played outdoors.
The Dome's okay. I mean, it's adequate, but I mean, it's something I don't think really draws people to the ballpark. So yeah, I think either an outdoor stadium open air or some sort of retractable dome would help the Twins.
The key word there may be help, because yes, many think an outdoor stadium would help draw fans, but others point to the fact that the Twins can help themselves by what they do on the field.
I think, though, that if we think that a stadium's going to generate sustained fan support, I think we're fooling ourselves. I think a stadium will draw people to see it when it's new, the novelty of it. But for sustained fan support, stadiums don't do that. Winning teams do that.
And that's exactly what the Twins did at the Dome today, win, and they did it in dramatic fashion.
What a way to finish. Couldn't have scripted a better story than that. What do you think, Bud? Woo!
Last at bat, Paul Molitor. Although they ended on a positive note, the Twins still finished the season 21.5 games out of first place. More on the Twins coming up in sports.
Tonight, yet another verbal skirmish in the battle between Paul Wellstone and Rudy Boschwitz. WCCO-4 News political reporter Pat Kessler joins us with the debate details. Pat?
Well, not a heck of a lot new, but it sure was fun to watch. The name calling got pretty creative tonight, I must say. Wellstone characterized Boschwitz, that's Paul Wellstone and Rudy Boschwitz. Boschwitz, he said, is a pawn of the wealthy who's responsible for tainted meat and dirty air. Boschwitz called Wellstone a liberal throwback to the 60s who supports things like flag burning. Well, both of them used government spending and welfare reform to highlight their differences. Boschwitz had to stop himself several times from calling Wellstone Senator Welfare as he continued the centerpiece attack of his campaign.
I have a great difficulty in taking tax money from hard-working Minnesotans and giving it to people who are on welfare who could work and should work.
Boschwitz said he'd support drug testing for welfare recipients. And Wellstone sarcastically said he would too, if America's business leaders are included.
He never talks about the hundreds of billions of dollars in all these wasteful subsidies for oil companies, tobacco companies, pharmaceutical companies, big insurance companies, chemical companies. I really would like to see all of those people who receive the vast majority of welfare, the special interests that my opponent has done such a good job of representing, also be subject to the same drug testing.
11 separate times, Wellstone linked Boschwitz to House Speaker Newt Gingrich, calling him extreme, leaving Boschwitz scratching his head.
My opponent thinks he's running against Newt Gingrich. I just don't know what to make out of that, you know. If you want to run against Newt Gingrich, Senator, you ought to move to Georgia.
Offered Senator Wellstone actual volunteers to help move him to Georgia, and we don't think Wellstone's taking that offer. Reform Party candidate Dean Barkley was not included in tonight's debate. He will take part in the October 29th debate, which will air right here on WCCO television.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pat. And you can learn much more about the Senate candidates' views by dialing into channel 4000. Every week, we'll pose questions to them on the internet and our website address, WCCO.com.
More proof tonight about the dangers police face, especially when they respond to domestic disturbance calls. 2 officers were assaulted, and the one you see right there got punched in the mouth. They were trying to calm things down along the 2600 block of Girard Avenue North. Police say 2 women jumped on one of the officers' back, then a man started throwing punches. No serious injuries, and all of the suspects were hauled off to jail.
A Scott County family appreciates their hometown's generosity. A fundraiser for the Murphy family was held in New Prague tonight, bringing in about $5,000 to help pay the medical bills of young Thomas Murphy of Shakopee. He was born 4 months premature back in January. Donations can still be sent to the Thomas Murphy Fund at the Marquette Bank in New Prague at 217 West Main, and the zip code there, 56071.
Well, it's the hottest ticket in town. You may know what it is, Smithsonian, the traveling exhibit, but you don't have to wait until it gets here to see the national treasures. Stay tuned for a sneak peek from Kevin Berger next in Dimension.
For those of you that have been shivering through the past few days, we've got a bit of a warm-up headed our way. We'll tell you about it when we come back with weather.
Usually people go to museums, but a museum is about to come to the people. Tomorrow, the first of 70 trucks carrying the best of the Smithsonian Institution begin arriving in St. Paul. By October 15th, the roadshow will be unloaded and on display at the Civic Center. But we couldn't wait, so we sent WCCO-4 News reporter Kevin Berger to Providence, Rhode Island to see it there and bring back the pictures.
We're Boy Scouts! Some people think museums are dry, dusty, dull. Don't suggest that to people in this line. Waiting outside the Rhode Island Convention Center in Providence, they've traveled from all over New England to view a once-in-a-lifetime museum display.
Where are you from? Canton, Connecticut.
West Warwick, Rhode Island.
I'm from Brooklyn, Connecticut. Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Cape Cod.
See it, Rob?
The crowds come to see the best from America's best museum. It's the world's largest traveling museum show, honoring the Smithsonian's 150th birthday. Ellen Dorn is project manager for the tour.
So it's kind of our birthday present to the American people that, you know, here we hold these in trust for you and your children, and come out and see them.
The Smithsonian Institution has a collection of 143 million objects. Now, just 3 of those items were off limits when they put together this traveling exhibition. The Hope Diamond, for security reasons, the Star-Spangled Banner, because the old flag is deteriorating, and the Spirit of St. Louis, because it was too much trouble to take the plane apart and put it back together again on every stop. But everything else was fair game.
Some 350 items, the cream of the cream, make up the tour. Those objects are grouped in 3 galleries called Discovering, Imagining, and Remembering. Discovering includes items from natural history.
You start out in Discovering by looking at an 8-foot-high shark jaw that's 4.5 million years old.
In this gallery, visitors view a Mars rock, minerals, shells, a chunk of the famed Canyon Diablo meteorite. Discovering includes expeditions, the compass carried by Lewis and Clark in 1804, the biplane that flew the first continental flight in 1911. Its pilot needed 84 days to trek across the U.S.
I think it had about 72 unscheduled stops, shall we say, across the country, and his wife went along on the ground in a car and would pick up pieces of the plane as they fell off and sell them as souvenirs. Enterprising woman.
Adjacent to the old plane, icons on loan from the Air and Space Museum.
And you'll see the Apollo 14 command module, the Kitty Hawk, and a lunar rover, and a moon rock, and an Apollo 15 spacesuit, and the lunar maps from the Apollo 11 mission.
The gallery called Imagining includes treasures from the Smithsonian Art Collection.
When you go in there, you're welcomed outside the gallery actually by Henry Moore's draped reclining figure sculpture, which is beautiful. And you walk.
See a sculpture from Rodin, paintings from Warhol, Cassatt, Picasso, a Tiffany lamp, priceless porcelain. Stroll around a Tucker, number 39 of 51 sedans made by innovator Preston Tucker.
Has 3 headlights, and if you look at the middle one, it moves when you turn the steering wheel.
This museum-quality piece came to the museum recently in an unusual way.
We were very fortunate to get it because of a drug bust. It came to us, it was confiscated in a drug bust.
Here's the display with the longest lines, people waiting to see the jewelry, exquisite gifts from donors with good taste and too much money. The biggest gallery, Remembering, is a collection of American icons. George Washington's sword, Dizzy Gillespie's trumpet, a sampling of First Lady's gowns. What curators call the public's favorite item is here too, the ruby slippers. But they're not the ruby slippers.
There were, I believe, about 7 pair. This is the pair that she wore when she was doing her dance scenes, and they have felt on the bottom of them, so when she was dancing on the yellow brick road, it wouldn't make a sound, but they're...
From the sporting world, see Richard Petty's 1984 NASCAR Pontiac, Muhammad Ali's gloves, a jersey from the 1980 USA Olympic hockey team. Here also, Abraham Lincoln's hat. Fur pasted on cardboard. It only cost $4 in its day. Lincoln wore it the last night of his life.
It's a very nondescript hat, but when you stand there and look at it and think about who wore it and the night that he wore it when he was assassinated, it just really makes you stop and think, and you realize that you're looking at a real treasure.
One at a time.
The exhibition is full of treasures, and security reflects that. Expect to walk through metal detectors, watch a guard dig through your backpack, even a body check. Security much like what you encounter at airports.
The average visitor to the exhibit spends between 2 and 2.5 hours, but some people quite literally make a day of it, spending 5 to 6 hours wandering through the treasures. How much time you spend is up to you. Visitors go at their own pace. No one ever tells them to hurry up or move on.
The show moves on to St. Paul, where city leaders think the prestige of the Smithsonian aids the effort to retool St. Paul's image. Tomorrow night, how this road show may help put St. Paul back on the road. For Dimension, I'm Kevin Berger.
Now, if you want to see the roadshow, listen closely. Admission is free, but tickets are required. Each day, the free tickets will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. Or you can order advance reserve tickets, but there is a $3.50 service charge for each one. You can call 1-800-913-TOUR for reserved tickets.
She was talking about how much time people spend. I bet you could lose track of time easily.
Oh, definitely. There's so much there.
That is really some neat stuff. Well, Mike Fairborn joins us now on the rooftop with a check of our weather forecast. Michael?
That's going to be as popular as our weather's been the last few days, right? Hey, we haven't had too bad of weather over the weekend. A few showers mostly came through the nighttime hours, and even tonight we had forecasted some rain. We're going to take that out of the forecast now, so I think we're on the backside of some decent weather headed our way. Fall colors are starting to pop up around. You can see pockets of it around the Twin Cities. We'll probably start to peak within the next week and a half to 2 weeks here around the Twin Cities. And our high today was 57 degrees, 41 for the low. And we need nice, cool temperatures at night and nice sunny days during the day to bring out the fall color. Right now we're 51, and it's still cloudy here in the Twin Cities. The dew point of 36. Winds are light out of the southeast at 6 miles an hour. And yeah, I did dust off that jacket in the closet, and it feels good out here tonight. A little bit of a chill in the air, and you'll need it in the morning as well. Take a look at the radar replay. Now, earlier tonight, we had some rain forming out over North and South Dakota. Now, that rain was moving to the east, and it looked like it might hold together as it moved in toward the Twin Cities. But watch what's happening mostly to the north of us. We're going to take a little bit of a closer view here and take a look at the Twin Cities radar. And you can see we do have some showers to the north, still a little bit of sprinkles out to the west. But boy, once that passes through us, I think it's just about over with for the night. Satellite picture, we had sunny skies most of the day today. It was late this afternoon when these clouds started to thicken and roll out of North and South Dakota, moving fast. The back edge of the clouds now are into western Minnesota, so I think we'll probably wake up to at least some partly cloudy skies tomorrow. Highs today were in the 50s in the south, only 40s to the north, and already International Falls is down to 38. I think the cloud cover here early tonight will keep our temperatures up into the upper 40s to around the mid 40s as we head into the nighttime hours. High pressure over us right now, kind of eroding that precipitation as it moves in, but the low pressure area moving in here tomorrow is going to produce some sunshine for us. It'll be a warmer sunshine. We should see temperatures top out close to 70 degrees, and we'll be back and give you that week's forecast ahead right after this. Well, we still have a chance of a sprinkle maybe up till around midnight or so, and after that, just some partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. 44 for an overnight low with a south-southeast wind at 5 to 15. Waking up tomorrow morning, just partly cloudy skies, and look at that. By afternoon, 72 degrees. Tomorrow's the day to play hooky if you have a chance to do that. Looking ahead, another chance of some sprinkles on Wednesday, but we're downhill from that 72 on Monday, down back into the 50s by the end of the week, and we're going to have to trade in umbrellas for neck scarves here pretty soon. But Doug and Lisa Chicka from East Bethel, congratulations. We'll get an umbrella out to you. You may still need that this fall, but I'm afraid we're going to start talking about snow one of these days.
Those
Looking
umbrellas,
forward to that.
unfortunately, those umbrellas work for that as well, don't they, Mike?
They do, yes.
All right, thanks.
Or fortunately.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks a lot. Now here's a look at tomorrow's stories. A 5-time convicted drunk driver will be in court. 64-year-old Joseph Ray of St. Paul is accused of driving drunk and killing an elderly pedestrian on Lexington Avenue a week ago.
Tomorrow morning, lawyers for Vikings head coach Denny Green will head for court. They've filed a motion to dismiss a lawsuit by Green against the Twin Cities woman. The hearing is scheduled for 8:30 a.m. The lawsuit involves another lawsuit and confidentiality agreements. Sports is next, so stay tuned. More on that Vikings game against the Giants.
And a reminder, don't forget to tune in to the brand new WCCO-4 News this morning. Dave Huddleston and Heather Tesh begin broadcasting at 5:30.
Erickson for RJ. More on the Vikings. Tough loss.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. We all thought maybe next week Vikings-Panthers would be a battle of the unbeatens.
Yeah.
Scratch that.
That's right.
It's not going to be the case.
The Vikings took a giant step backwards today. Minnesota's perfect record disintegrated in the polluted New Jersey air as the Vikes lost to the subpar Giants. Let's go to the Meadowlands, where today wasn't exactly a Kodak moment for Warren Moon and the Vikings offense. Minnesota's biggest play was turned in by its special teams. David Palmer dazzling on this punt return. Nobody's going to catch him. It's a 69-yard touchdown, and the Vikes led it 7-3 in the second. Now the Giants controlled the second half. Like we told you all week, New York can run behind its gigantic offensive line. Rodney Hampton picked up 82 yards in the game. That run would help set up this touchdown. Aaron Pierce on the reverse. It's the Giants' only score of the day, and New York took the lead for good. Now the Vikes tried to pull off yet another fourth quarter rally. But Moon's pass here picked off by Felipe Sparks. Take a bow, Felipe. The Giants defeat the Vikings 15-10. Well, Mark Rosen was in the Vikings locker room after the game. Mark, how was it?
Well, it was like walking into a minefield, Eric, after the raucous locker room experience we all had last week when the Vikings beat Green Bay. The Vikings certainly knew they were going to not have the streak go on forever, but they didn't expect it to end today, scoring just 3 points offensively against the Giants. And as I spoke with Jeff Brady and Corey Fuller, the expressions rather than the words really tell the story of today's loss.
We just didn't come out and play hard enough. Just seemed like everything went against us. We just really weren't focused. And they just beat us to the punch.
Dave Brown just did enough things right today.
Yeah, the whole team did, all the way around the board. So there ain't no excuses for nothing.
And that about summed it up from the Viking locker room. We will have more from Warren Moon and others from the locker room coming up in Rosen Sports Sunday. Sarah Tuaola will be here to talk about playing football for the Vikings and his singing career as well. We will have a preview of the Panthers coming to town next week, and of course review the Vikings-Giants game, all coming up in a few minutes with Michelle Tafoya here on Rosen Sports Sunday. Eric?
All right, Mark, thank you so much, and we will look forward to that. Well, elsewhere in the NFC Central, the Pack is back on track. After losing at the Metrodome last week, Green Bay finally found a dome it could win in. Seattle's Kingdome was a friendly spot for the mini cheeseheads who showed up. And as usual, Brett Favre had the hot hand. He threw 4 more TD passes today, including a pair to Anthony Freeman. Favre now has 16 touchdown tosses this season. Packers win it 31-10. In Tampa, Tony Dungy and the Bucs dropped their 5th straight game. Quarterback Trent Dilfer will misfire on this pass. Benny Blades says, "Thanks for the early Christmas gift, Trent." Blades goes 98 yards for a Lions touchdown. Feeble effort on the tackle by Dilfer. Detroit wins 27-0. Another bad day for the Bucs. Oakland coach Mike White sure did not get a kick out of today's game against Chicago, but Jeff Jaeger did. His 30-yard field goal with 11 seconds to go gave the Bears a 19-17 win over the Raiders. Jaeger had 4 field goals in the game. He was cut by Oakland just a few weeks ago. So here's a look at the NFC Central. The Vikes and Pack are tied atop the division. The Lions are a game back. The Bears are 2 back. And Tampa is dreaming of drafting Peyton Manning. Next up for the Vikings is Carolina. The Panthers were also unbeaten heading into today's game at Jacksonville, but Carolina got a tough break. Tim Biakatabuka left early with a sprained left knee. Jaguars had a good day. Mark Brunell connects with Jimmy Smith, 8-yard touchdown pass. Jacksonville also got 2 TD runs from James Stewart, including a power smash here as he bounces in for the touchdown. The Jaguars are the superior cat today, knocking off the Panthers 24-14. At the Murph in San Diego, a packed house saw a Chiefs-Chargers clash. San Diego blocks this game-tying field goal attempt by Pete Stoyanovich, and the Bolts hang on to win it 22-19. The loss is KC's first of the season. Checking the Channel 4 Jumbotron scoreboard, the Broncos are 4-1 after a win in Cincy. The Ravens hand the Saints their 5th straight loss. Jeff Wilkins kicked 6 field goals for San Francisco. Jerome Bettis ran for over 100 yards in the Steelers win. Kent Graham threw 4 TD passes for Arizona. And Terry Allen, 2 more TDs, 100-plus yards in the Washington win. The Twins put the lid on the 1996 season today, and they did it in dramatic fashion against Chicago. In the bottom of the 10th, Chuck Knobloch came up with 1 man on and the Twins trailing 4-3. But Knobloch would change that. He smacks one off the baggie here. He will turn it into a triple. Mike Durant scored the tying run on what was Knobloch's 14th 3-base hit of the season. Now that would set the stage for St. Paul Molitor. He comes through with a game-winning single. The Twins would win it as Molitor finishes the year with 222 hits, 5-4 the final. Also, Padres win the NL West, beating the Dodgers today. Both are playoff bound.
All right, thanks, Eric.
We'll be right back after this.
Hey, do you remember the Wiener Dog Internationals? They were the brainchild of a beer company. Then people started really having dachshund races. Now, even another twist. Look at that. Chihuahuas, except the Chihuahuas have a little trouble with direction. Think this is a joke? No, it is not. This was the finals of the Chihuahua World Cup '96 in Houston, Texas. Just imagine, these were the best of more than 600 entries.
Hey, don't. They're cute. I used to have a Chihuahua.
They're cute but confused. Have a good night.